Mr. Rahul Mr. Rahul Saha is a seasoned AI strategist and data science leader with 16 years of experience spanning enterprise consulting, advanced analytics, and digital transformation. With a strong foundation in engineering and business analytics, he has led high impact initiatives across energy, utilities, manufacturing, supply chain, comms and medias, retail, CPG, and FMCG sectors, building technical depth and strategic foresight. Mr. Saha holds an MTech degree in data science and engineering from BITS Pilani, where his thesis on ML driven digital twins earned top distinction, followed by patent filing in India. His academic pursuit his academic pursuits are deeply intertwined with industry insights, driving interdisciplinary research in AI/ML, Gen AI architecture, product R&D, and business analytics. As a gold certified mentor and certified expert in deep learning, supply chain AI, and cloud platforms, he brings a rare combination of hands on expertise and visionary thought leader. Currently designated as Associate Principal Data Sciences at LTI Mindtree in a role of Google GenAI Solution Architect for an automobile leader to build a GenAI powered product. Mr. Shaha continues to bridge the gap between academia and industry, fostering collaboration research, mentoring global teams, and exploring innovative AI applications in multiple domains. I would like to invite Mr. Rahul Saha to start the session.
Mhm. Hi everyone.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. So I will start sharing my screen. Okay. So today's topic is about large language model architecture and application. And already my brief background has been given by by the professor. I will continue going into the deep dive as much as possible, and I would like to bring the practical aspect along with that. So, if you have any questions, I will take those questions at the end, and as part of that would be the best way. So, in my sessions, we will be covering that the fundamentals of the LLM, how it evolved, and maybe many of us are familiar with the OpenAI and the ChatGPT and other Gemini and those models. But how they evolved, they do not came just suddenly, but it evolved with time. So, and I will also provide different insight that what we are doing in the industries and what are the different type of problems we are trying to solve by applying the GenAI. So in my lecture, I will try to cover different sections, and some of the sections will cover the fundamental part, and some will be on the application, and some other list no last phase of the sessions will cover on the hands-on part to try out different programs and show you that how it works generally. So when you talk about large language model, what things comes to our mind? The things a large language and the model. Three keywords obviously will come to our mind. Now, language models, if I say, we have also learned about earlier natural language processing, NLP. So how it differ from that? So in those days, back, I'll say back 10 years, or yeah, NLTK is uh, quite many years it's running. That moments we also have corpus, white brownie corpus, coordinate corpus. So there are many corpus. In when we used to use those corpus and build our solutions for noun phrase extractions. So we have different libraries also like NLTK, Spacey, so Gem, Gensim. Okay, so so all those different library text SE. So those are the old libraries that even I have worked on, and and build different recommendation engine with that. And also we used to what we do, we used to get the data of an individual uh, local sources. That means, for example, one of the project I will give a brief background, so that will help everyone to understand that how the LLM is connecting the dot. Okay, so it was a project on uh, My Learning Studio. So it was a recommendation engine, and where user will be typing about searching for some course, just like you see in Udemy or and many other portals, okay, where you can search for different course. So the organizations was having its own repository and training partners, PDFs, and many news coming up from the blog, latest information, technologically, the business wise. So all those things were coming. And in that case, and always these things are dynamic. It is not like that things can be stopped someday, like blog or the feed. Those feeds are coming. Cannot It's coming daily basis. It's not stopping a single day. And every week is some new lecture topic, new videos are coming. Something or the other is continuously coming. So our task was to build the recommendation engine for it. At that time, LLM was not that much famous. Okay. Uh, I have just got chance to use little bit of BERT at that
হয়ে
moment.
গেছে?
Hello.
হয়ে গেছে?
Okay. Sorry. So at that moment, the year was around 2018, when we were building that. And to come up that so much noise in the data, or what user may type, that may not be a sentence, that may be a single word, keyword. C sharp, noise. Sharp is then, hash is not a foreign character. F sharp. So C plus is not a foreign character. You know. So all those things we have to keep in mind when people are searching about technological thing. And based on a domain, some characters which are not relevant, which is not alphabet, but they are falling into a language. Even it is becoming a very core part of language model. And with times, this earlier books or corpus through which the language were learned, like WordNet and others, okay, many of them were got trained on some older literatures, traditional literature of English, and the corpus were quite enriched. And we used to use those things. Even many dictionaries used to be there. Synonyms, we can identify that whether that word is a proper English word or not. There used to be different corpus to identify that. So provided that was the scenario, and in natural language, what we used to do a parsing of text. Say, so there was chat parsing, and there are different other parsing mechanism also. So when people, for any language, there is some uh, uh, there is some grammar, and based on that grammar, those the parsing mechanism used to work. And noun entity recognition is also one of the famous thing. So now, the thing was that at that moment we were building recommendation and search engine, even Google was there. Now, why the LLM is coming up? At that moment, what we are doing, that time also we had to think through it. How can we make the search efficient? We were doing with a key-based search, keyword-based search. So keyword means bigram, trigrams, we are doing that. And then we are going into TF-IDF to make that even the unique keyword which is only present in one of the document that shall also come up. So the fundamental things of natural language model and the search engine, TF-IDF, those were there. Even when we are building recommendation engine, we were using collaborative filtering. So what was collaborative filtering? Basically, understanding similarity between two persona based on similarity. And that time also we were using cosine similarity at that moment. Okay. So throughout large data, we were doing clustering also, we were doing identifying similarity between two documents also, or even two person also. So now, with time, when those was the maturity, eventually Google did lot many work in this, okay, and even the OpenAI. So they keep on building something new, the GPT-2 and then BART. So there are two BART, BERT, BART. So both things they are encoding based language. So they started building, making the architecture much more robust. Transformer has started coming up during that phase, 2017-18, gradually. But it was new. And the summarization earlier it was based on old model was like bottleneck, bottlesome. Those are the summarization technique that we used to use. That for brief summarization, not that much elaborative text generation like today. Now with neural network and robust computing mechanisms that we have with the GPUs, so this really large language model start evolving with so many parameters available in the internet and these giant companies who have these high processing powers, they start capturing those data. And I don't know that all the data that were captured all in an ethical way or a responsible way. There were many news and many event also concern also raised by many people, many government. Okay, and even they have to went through different legal challenges also. Even though the technology is a promising that nobody can reject, but it is not uh, what I will say, it is not completely 100% correct. Just like any other model, like ML model, AI models, okay, not everything is 100% correct. It is not a deterministic thing. So if we go with a, even if we go with any linear regressions or decision tree or random forest, XGBoost, everybody based on a certain data will give an accuracy of 98, 97, 89, 90. Different. They are not 100% correct, but they are promising. They really bring something out from the data, which is hard for a human being to identify this pattern. Mathematically, they are identifying those logic. Those are really uh, make our society move towards an further advancement. Okay. So again, this things comes that whether our human brain will be beaten by AI or not. Yes, to some extent it can, but not completely because they're still evolving and there are many nuances. Now, nuisances, that means what I want to mean, they are a very specific thing. So in those specific things, it becomes very much challenging. So many times still required to it goes into mature state. I will show you some example also, if time permit, that although Meta has developed Llama 3.2, there are too many problems inside it. Okay, when we run it, when we try to explore it, then you say, okay, even Gemini, Gemma also will experience something. Even Gemini also, when we are using, although these are great, good models, so but then each and every model has some drawback when we try to implement in the enterprise level, and then we have to do some customization or some other way to handle it. Sometime it can be handled, and sometime we have to publish it with certain disclaimer. So this is basically the journey of LLM from NLP to NLM. This is the journey, and many things work based on the fundamental machine learning. Many of the things, sequential model, Bayes theorem. Okay, because if you control the in LLM, there are parameters to check the probability of the next word. So if you change, when we change the temperature parameter, you can see that the next probability may not be the 100%. The highest, I will not say the 100%. It will not be the highest probable word. Little bit of imagination, creativity it may bring. But the flow of text and all those generation is really awesome. So we'll go to the next part. This was the journey that I was little bit telling, that journey how the LLM has evolved. We were part of this part. Here I was part. Even we have used this one when we have to identify any misspell in some word. We have used word to wake, even a character wake also was there. Hmm. So even RNN and LSTM used to tell that what is the next word on auto completion of word. RNN was quite popular. Even simple statistical technique, frequency based, was also quite popular based on the corpus. So not always we can go with LLM, but we have to go with SLM specific to certain domain. For example, in our case, when we were building a search engine, so people will be typing that I want a course in Python, say, or they will type a book name, which is not a complete text. But completion of the book name shall be intuitive based on the corpus I am having. It shall not be based on the internet what we have. Correct. So those things we have to keep in mind when we design such type of solution. We cannot go and try to think in such a way that LLM is there, we blindly apply that and we implement it. No, it's not like that. Even I will show you some problems, okay, of generating one of the use case only. We will say that the problem where and how to solve. It is easy to say that uh, that code can be generated with LLM and that we can directly use and build some app very fast. It is many myth is there, but actually, yeah, to some extent, it may make some certain level of work little bit easier. Okay, but there are a lot of things beyond that. The integration and other challenges still remains. We can understand the steps, but step may not be correct. The code that gets generated, that may not be the correct codes generated. Okay, and that also varies. Okay, sometime old version deprecated of the code version also gets come up because it's a dead model. LLM is literally a dead model. So so till some date it will the volume of data it has got trained, it can you know it can provide information based on that. And there are other ways we are trying to mitigate that sort of risk, because that is a risk. I cannot run with a model which is not active. In case of machine learning also, it is also always recommended not to not to run with a old model. We shall do a retraining of the model on a periodic way. Similarly, in LLM also the story is same. So you will see that each and after every 6 month or a 3 month, 4 month window, Google will come up with a new model. Now the Gemini 3 has come up. Even recently GPT-5 has come up. So this wave will keep on coming. And they are, when we are implementing, they are also mentioning that release date, that this will be active for the next say 1 year. After that, it will not be, you shall not use it, or you have to upgrade with the next. Because they also know the limitation that although we have built the model, although there are certain functions that can be enabled, certain tool that will allow us to take the latest information. By that way, we are controlling, we are making it narrow LLM sort of narrow. Somebody say narrow artificial intelligence, or narrow AGI also somebody says. Okay, so rather than complete AGI, which is the main vision of the LLM, to make everything multimodal, all the knowledge shall come into it. Okay. But it doesn't work like that way. So this was the journey through which we are moving forward in the LLM, and okay, and some of the papers we will discuss and see how they have evolved. So this will give a good idea that nothing too much complex, but yeah, uh, thoughtfully automated, I will say, deep learning way, and it has been implemented in a very nice way, and packaged it in a very well planned way. Because when we say about LLM, you go so many providers, and such a robust library uh, and packages, and it's really awesome. Before this we had hardly used to see some of the such type of things. Like we have used a sklearn, stat models, art packages, and even the NLTK and the specific. These were some of the many most popular packages that we used to use. In R also there were many such visualization and plots and other things, other stuff, you know, specific domain specific various packages also came up over the time. Statistical, domain specific, processing function based programming. Many things came up, but with deep learning, Keras, TensorFlow, they have also made so robust library. Now it is again another wave that you can see with a LangChain, LangGraph, Llama Index, and even Google has Google and AWS. Everybody has their own suite of SDKs. That is awesome. That changes is becoming a robust thing, that I will say. And we cannot stick to one. That is the biggest challenge. That if somebody say that I have learned one LangChain and I do not know the LangGraph, then you miss some of the thing. Again, somebody say that I have done an agent with Crew AI, and I haven't done the line graph, or I do not know the Google ADK. Again, that becomes a problem. So you do not know. It's just like an email. If somebody say that yes, I know ML, but I know linear regression, but I do not know logistic regression. It becomes like that. Okay. So all are the all are the things, that these are all the tools that everyone shall know. Whenever somebody is telling someone, software engineer or a data scientist, say for software engineer, if somebody tell that I know data structure and I don't know anything, I don't know programming also, I know algorithm designing, I know automata, and I know all those things, but I don't know how to write program. So whether that person will be a software engineer? Absolutely no. Okay. So similarly for data science also. So if somebody tell them, I have worked on linear regression, I don't know any other thing, but I know linear regression. Again, that will not solve the problem. We business cannot run with such type of resources. So in case of LLM, also the story is like that. The person need to know all these different tools. Not a single tool will meet the purpose. The holistic learning will not be complete. So now it comes to, let's see, let's go into the architecture a little bit. Okay. So when we say this is 2017, okay, when suddenly a paper came up, attention is all you need. So what is attention that we all need? Whether it is new, whether it is entirely new or something, a name have got changed, but the mechanism how it has implemented, that is the new. I will say the mechanism through which it has implemented, it has turned new. The mathematically how it has been architect, the programmatically the architecture. This is my philosophy. That's my understanding. Anybody can, debate on it. Okay, 1 minute. Yeah. So what I was telling that it was what is attention that we all need. Attention that we all need is a primarily giving weight to certain character, not character, I will say certain word or phrases. So from the sentence, it is not only the sequence, but it also about certain uh, what is a certain word that we give importance, and based on that, it help us to do a translation. Just like translation cannot happen just in a sequential way, because the way we speak in Bengali or in Hindi, the same flow is not in Urdu, and even it is not true when we speak in Spanish or in English. Again, it will be different. In Sanskrit, again, it will be different. So in Japanese, it will be different. But the attention, what are the things I want to mean? What the context, the weight and importance on a particular sentence, that is quite important. And that really make a sense that based on that, what somebody has told in the previous sentence, what can be the next based on the importance. So this is the attention mechanism, the how to understand the weight. Now I will say that this is attention mechanism, but earlier in even in case of linear regression or the Bayes theorems, where we use the fundamental, okay, where you used to understand the weight or most probable things in a sentence, most highly frequently occurring, just like I am doing this, I have. So I will followed by something, and those are the set of word, and those are the uh, most frequent, most relevant after that. And there are many phrases. Okay, you see that those phrases always come together like that way. That attention. But when you think about a larger model, larger deep learning models, then with a high computation, with a high network, these granular things also gets captured, which is very hard for a smaller model to learn. But when we make it robust, gradually we make it robust, those minute things also get understand. Just like how think about how the random forest work. So random forest is built on trees, decision tree, but when you have a huge data, it do so many processing. It breaks it, it select few things, and then you give weights, and then it gives ranking, and then it finally you get the result. So similarly, if you think that way, here also, through a large network, through a large volume of data, we can learn many things, and we come up with different pattern. And those patterns are the result that we are generating that are generative in nature, probabilistic in nature. So that is how I take it simple way to understand the transformer architectures, which is having an encoding and having a decoding, and they fight to come to meet with a result that what is encoded, and what similar things we have to decode back. Okay. So everything is like that. In simple terms, I try to explain it in a very simple way. Okay, how the things are working. So here some of the glimpse of this. how the things are working, that encoder and the decoder. So when we do an encoding, it try to understand the weight, and from that weight, it again try to generate the next thing, that what it might be the other things, or what is the next frequent word that uh, that we are understanding. Okay, so based on the corpus, definitely, and if the corpus is huge, then there can be lot many probability will come up. And now the how we give prompt, based on that prompt, it will get a direction that what is my purpose. Okay, so that is quite interesting, that when we say a prompt, that what it is doing, it is basically identifying similarity, or it is creating a vector space, and then it is trying to identify where I am. And based on my position, I am trying to build my own world around it, of words, of not words, of vector. And from that vectors, I am trying to connect the dots and come up with stories, connect with, build the summarization, or generate some sentence like that way. And moreover, the important thing is that when we give certain instructions, it identify that constraint, just like in AI or in reinforcement learning, we provide constraints, and the search is limited to that constraint. Those are even more important. So here also, when we do this LLM based operation, those importance, what we are giving as an instruction, higher weightage, higher importance is always given. So that's the attention is given to those things what we have told, what the instruction is coming up. Okay, so this is basically the mathematical expression that that was has been told. So if you understand query, what is the attention in which I have already told that what information to focus on, what information is available, the actual information content, and multiple head, different representation, subspace. So So these things are quite important. Whenever you think about a data distribution, you take it a PCA or anything, the dimension in which you will see, if you change the dimension in an orthogonal way in a different dimension, you see it a different thing. A coin, if it is rotated, it can look like, if it is rotated, it will become a sphere, or when it is rotating. But again, it can be a straight line, and it can be a circle, and it can be an ellipse also at different dimension. So it's like that, based on the perspective, based on your query, what you were thinking of. If you put that in this way, I need it in this way. So it give a shape. So that's basically different representation of subspace. So So I try to explain it in a in a very simple way, so that people then do not try to visualize that thing what is happening inside LLM, and rather than thinking that it's a black box. There are so many networks, it is doing so many things, and now we are getting a result, and that we will use. But what is inside that will really help to understand. Okay. So so each word attend to each other word. So, and model learn contextual relationship, parallel computing across sequence. So that's what the entire architecture is about. This is the most simplified way. I'm trying to explain you that what is a transformer, what is encoding. But the thing is that from the same little bit changing the architectures, people has come up with a new modeling technique, and they are also coming closer to the other one. So this is quite interesting. Because since the art of complexity is so high, by changing some or the other component, then also we are generating some near to perfect. So I believe in this way. I take it in this way that all human beings have some perfect, but at the end they are all human beings. So all models are model, but to some extent they are perfect, but uh, they fall under similar family with little bit imperfection and but the purpose can be met by following some discipline and following some putting it in a right position and right place. So I take it in sometime in this way. So what we considered when we start uh, considering LLM model, what are the key important factors that are considered? Just like in an architecture, you build a building, and in a building you need to have certain column, and you need to have certain storage, and you need to have a wide width, and you need to have so many rooms, entrance, all the things. So similarly, in model architecture also, what you can change? You can change what are the things you can enter, what are the embedding layers, how many token it can process. Okay, just like think about when the first model of CNN was built, or those images that we used to process, and those there were certain 96 by 96 or some architecture I am forgetting, but so those were the data that we used to always convert into that, and then we used to process it. So the architecture was built in such a way that we have to convert it into that structure, and then you have to process. Similarly, here also, that whenever some model has been built with different token processing, embedding, and even the vector dimension is different. Some support lesser dimension, some support higher dimension. So based on those dimension, the model and its vector can represent in a different way. Even the vectors, when it comes that the vectors uh, is a float number, and the float number can be quite long. And based on that, if we uh, if we reduce the numbers to numeric, then the vector dimensions and the size will be a little bit finite. But when it goes to uh, more on the fractions, then it becomes sort of infinite sort of. Okay, so more decimals we get, so more dimension, more words, more dimension can be captured through it. So things are going in that way, but when why these are important? Because whenever I am seeing many people are doing blindly, many people are applying such model without thinking through that what is my purpose, what can I do, how can I do. Okay, that is very much important. And many people start thinking in such a way that, yeah, I'm having an open source LLM. I can do it with the open source LLM. I will do it and I will solve the problem. Without understanding the problem, what I am solving, it is very hard to consider an open source model. Okay. And again, when it comes to a prototype models, why it is prototype? Because such a large models you will not be able to hold in any machine. They have a very high compute and very robust system, so we can process large models hosted by any of the service provider like you know Google or OpenAI or DeepSeek. But DeepSeek is giving you the model, but model is large, quite large. In my machine, I have tried larger models that support, but when it comes to processing through CPU, the performance gets lower. When it switches to GPU, then the performance is better. Now, you just imagine Is it possible to have such type of larger compute to all the laptops, all the machines? So that's why NVIDIA is making that boom benefit of it. So these are the building blocks of the model architecture, that how they have been built. Very fundamental things, but important things are the embedding, position embedding, dimension. These are very much important things whenever we select a models, and when we decide that which one to consider, those becomes a decision making point factors. Just like how we used to do in machine learning. So how many tree or depth you will consider in case of in case of decision tree, okay, or how many k-fold, how many fold do you want to consider in k-fold, or grid search, how you will search that most optimal one, or in k means how you find that what is the most optimal number of cluster with the help of elbow method, or socket some sachet formula was also there. So similarly, or you have to apply some AI techniques to identify that optimal. So that is also there. But again, that is also again a computation heavy thing to do it and then identify and then solve the problem. Here also there are so many things that we need to think through, that if my problem is this, and what type of tool I need to use. Okay, 1 minute. So now there are certain level of optimizations that we can do in terms of the LLM model. So there are even fine tuning we can do, make it fit. Just the point I was telling, to make it fit for the purpose that we do. So there are LoRa quantization technique, there are fine tuning, there are prompt engineering. Okay, there are providing a structured, how we provide a guidance and structured to, so that the response comes follow that structure. Programmatically, we are trying to control it as much as possible, the large language aspect. But there are challenge. There are still challenge, hallucination, no, jailbreaks and other threats are still there for certain type of models. If we are not properly utilizing them, I will give show you some of the things that has came up. I will in the hands-on sessions we will show the practical aspect of it. What are the different may not be I will be doing running each and every code. It's not possible, but you will get fair idea that what are the things are required when we do hands-on activity. Few things we may try. Okay, simple things. So now these are scale and parameters. So with time, the what what is changing? Just you have to understand the pattern, what they are doing and how it is changing. So earlier it was 107 million parameters, and then it's 1.5 billion, then 175 billion, then 1 terabytes or something. Even I am forgetting. So that is how the parameters is keep on changing, and it will keep on changing. And you see that on how much volume of data it is getting trained, and then what is the outcome we are getting. Even we can see that in uh, that many of the cases GPT-4 also is unable to work on something, so they are moving to GPT-5. Now this is a big question that we have, because such type of computation, such type of parameter increase, and yes, it is giving an advantage of advanced reasoning. How much we need? So that is a very, what I will say, we have to take some conscious decision on it because of the sustainability aspect of it. Because so much large model, so many things, it cannot run without resources, without energy, without power, without capability. So without that, it will not run. So how much we shall consume and how much we shall know, keep it or focus on, or how fast we grow, these all things need to be, still we need to define these policies. This is very much important, or else now if we run very fast, there will be an accident, something like that. Okay, no, we have to take a conscious decisions. I know here there are in these particular sessions. I know there are many seniors, okay, many professors, many students are there. I am passing this message so that although I am one person who is working on it, basically on as part of industry level problem solving, but this is an important thing that we have to think through on it. Okay, that how we use optimally, that is time. What is happening, I will tell that everybody thinks that the data is gold, data has many things. Now, optimally using that, that is again another, that is a business model we have to define, or else everybody will think that yes, this data is gold. I want to acquire this, I will keep it, and ultimately, eventually, everybody, if all the companies start making large language models by for their own, just imagine how much computation resource it will, how much energy it will be, we will be spending just unnecessarily. Okay. Because we don't want to lose those vectors. And even those vectors, in which dimension they are, people don't know. But yeah, they if those dimension are caught, many information will come up. But if it is old, how much value it is if it is if we follow a transparent on something like that, okay, and if we make policy in such a way so that that will not impact anyone's if it is a historical data some to some extent like that, okay, that's just a philosophy, okay, but again that many peoples are working on it, um, on that aspect also, sustainable aspect of LLM and other stuff. So when I am telling about this and the large parameters and that huge volume of data in which it is getting trained, so these all things keep on coming to the mind. And now, training methodology, pre-training. So when we collect data, so we follow certain steps, and so this is basically what we are doing, training methods and pre-training. And what we'll cover, okay, fine-tuning application. So when earlier, what was the process that we used to follow? We used to follow, capture the data with the information retrieval, and these are the different mechanism through which the data gets faced. So there are different web through which the data were faced, even books, code repository, um, data cleaning and filtering, all this through which the data has been extracted, and and then they were trained to build different model. Now it happens that now what I was exploring today, that for one of the model, uh, it is most probably Llama 3.2. When I was exploring that, I am not asking to generate any code or anything. I'm just writing a simple query based on a rag, okay, from a corpus. I was asking a query, but the generation, it is generating a code because it has got so much trained with the code, it start generating on that. So what I was telling that mm, it was generating code. Now I will show some result that you will understand that where I am telling those to generate a code, but it is generating a code. That is a problem. Even without being told, it will generate. But it is also built by Meta. Many people think Meta. I but what Meta? Then you have released that things without testing that things that it may do such type of problem. This is again another question. People just to follow the race, they are not properly testing many things and they are releasing just for the business sake. Although big brands, many big brands are developing such model just to be relevant or everybody start using it or try to test it. This is what is happening. So that also need to be that can also be there is a space how it shall be controlled. In enterprise level, such type of things when we do any business software building, such type of things were not tolerate. Just imagine if the code is not properly tested and it is deployed and in ATM you are swiping the money goes to gets credited from somebody else. Whether it will be tolerable. So there is a huge network, telecommunication is happening, so many complex things is happening, correct? Throughout the network, packets, data packets, and other message information is passing in the air also, in frequency also. So just these are the things I am telling because the audience is quite senior uh, to provide them little bit thought leadership in this space. That's why I'm giving such type of thoughts uh, to all of your mind. Okay. Now, these are different tokenization we do, and then based on different self self supervised learning, mask language models, no human level required. So these are all different techniques are done when we are doing when this model has been built basically. This LLM model has been built. And then in once it has been built further, we can refine these models and gradually through this technical implementation of gradient and learning rates and that deep learning technique basically. And this policy and rewarding mechanism is nothing but providing prompt and instruction, putting that restriction, putting that constraints that and like that way. I'm setting certain policies and then we are telling that you shall generate it in this way. Or I am putting another control on some other place that, yeah, you can be little bit creative, but not that creative. Okay, how to tolerate that one? So those all are the here to control this large vehicle basically and how we make it less the response shall be less harmful or no shall not be harmful literally reduce harmful or the improve reasoning improve reasoning so that is based on the type of model. Again, not all the models are built in such a way that it will reason. Okay, that is also a aspect that there are different models. So some are quick, some are very quick, and some takes time, think through, and then respond. So that is also an important aspect when you build a solution with the help of LLM. We have to think through them that which model shall I use? I cannot use such a model to think through where I need an immediate response. And I shall not also be like that where some response shall come after analyzing, after thinking that, after understanding the perspective, and then the response will come. In that case, if some response is coming very fast, that because you have to think that what we are doing, this is an LLM, we are trying to address it for different persona, and we are thinking that LLM to assist a particular persona, and that thing shall match with that. Okay, so these all things are required when we design certain solutions. I'm telling from that practical aspect. Uh, Now, application in computer science, where we are going towards this application uh, for the LLM. So LLM can be massively used when we do code checking, error checking, or code standard checking. So those all things are good. And even if you want to generate some proper standard documentation, because when we started our career back many years, that times when we were seeing the code, many codes are not having any proper documentation only. It was a huge task to understand that what is the code from by reading line by line, by understanding the flow, by running with different data. Then we used to understand that piece of code, and that was not a piece of code. It may be 50,000 line of codes. Okay, so it was very difficult, tedious work to understand such type of code. Okay, unless it is properly documented. Okay, some are 50,000, some are 20, 30, different size of code used to be there. But now with this LLM application, we can make a proper documentation of it in a very well mannered way. And even, many of the aspect we have to keep it in mind that whenever we are building APIs and other stuff and we are storing it in some documentation, there also we need to be disciplined enough, or else the GenAI based solution will not be able to work. If somebody is writing something and not providing proper context to those documentation, how the LLM will understand that what is this purpose, how it will use it. So that is also quite important. Okay, how to do it. So this is what some of the things that we have mentioned, that code translation, documentation, bug detections, syntactical error where it has happens. It already we know that there is already certain compilers which throw error, and if we run, then we come up with error that those things come up. Similarly, this is also another way to do, and already an existing way are also there which they follow certain different techniques to identify, and little bit rule based they used to do. Okay, and here it is basically a little bit more on the data and the pattern they identify based on the historical patterns it identify. So education application. So since the audience is from the education background, so there are different ways this LLM can be utilized in case of a personalized tutoring, adaptive learning, assignment generation, code explanation. So these all things, research assistant. So these all things are quite important, and we have to accept it. Just like we used to do research earlier in whenever we do research literature survey, we used to do with some database. We used to search by the keyword, and then we used to identify many things, and we used to put in research survey and other stuff. Correct. So here this is also one mean, but provided you have to this is one mean, but there is a catch. Here you can search it in a better way with a semantic similarity also, but you have to ensure that it is not hallucinating with some other meaning. So it is also a tool, but we have to use it in a very smarter, on a better way, or else there will be a risk. There will be a risk. Keyword based search do not have that risk, because exact keyword that only you are searching, it is definite, it is deterministic in nature. But although deterministic, it is erroneous. Why? Because some other keyword also may make that same thing, but we are not searching that. So That is the semantic aspect of it. Okay, that also, if we take that much, then it is fine. What may be the semantic other meaning of that word? To that level, it is fine. But when it start hallucinating or start generating for itself, and that becomes complex. That becomes nonsense also. Also, that today's only I was running some things and show the result how it was coming. I will explain it. So these are the things that industry and across domain we are working on it. That machine translation and then text summarization, question answer. My last project was basically it is sort of question answer. Why not question, but it was of a route planner. Okay, for one of the leading Euro company. So they they built that solution. We built that solution with the help of Google Gemini, and and it went live. Okay, and many of the users were using currently, and again refinement is still in progress. So it was quite interesting that how to use this. I often say it's a monster language model, large model, rather than large. It is huge. Okay. So what is more large than large? If you say that GPT-3 is a large, now what you will say to GPT-3 GPT-5 or Gemini 3? So they are like monster models. Okay. So this content creations and other stuffs are quite interesting, and it makes life easier when a certain format. But yeah, if you provide certain format uh, and it does pretty good work, and and after that little bit refinement is also required, and then the creative aspect remains. But that throughout a combination of hybrid, I believe a hybrid approach is much more better approach rather than not to use the tool which is available and entirely follow the old tradition. That doesn't make, that's my philosophy. A hybrid approach is always a good. Okay, if you have a calculator, you shall use it, or else we shall not use calculator only. Okay, or we shall stop use the mobile phone. Always we shall live in the era of letter writing. So hybrid approach, but letter writing is having its own essence. Okay, it gives a memory and the memory resides unless until you record some communication, but those communication comes in a flow without thoughts much. Okay, but a letter writing is nostalgic. You can, it remains for ages. Uh, so that's why one of my colleague was showing that a letter which is more than 100-year-old letter. Just imagine how much sentimental or emotional aspect as attached to that letter. The letter was his father and grandfather's. Somebody wrote that letter to him. So it's like that. That we have to go with hybrid. We cannot leave without it. We have to adapt it, and we have to adapt it with a cautiously. We have to adapt it, and then that will be the best way to proceed. And it's not that only AI can do everything. It is or by learning AI tools, you don't have to learn anything. Those are the wrong marketing that is happening, and we shall restrict in doing such type of marketing. That is not a ethical marketing practice. In China, that has been stopped now. So they have taken a strict action against such type of marketing. Many other places are taking, but yeah, that is having an impact in the moral aspect of it also. People coming from very good education background, but then also they are putting a wrong concept that you don't need a degree, you don't need anything, you just need AI. No, not at all. It's not like that. Degree only not only teach a right to code, but also it teaches many other things. Okay. Uh, so that's okay. These are the technical challenges that we shall keep in mind, and limitation. Okay. technical challenges and limitation, as I was telling, that hallucination, context length, limited memory window, computational cost, and training data bias. So this I will show you the result by which you will get a feeling that yeah, whatever is written in this PPT as part of, you can consider that's a hands-on sort of thing. Also, I can run the code also, but again it will keep on, time is a limit. Okay, but you will get the result what I it's generated by me only. Okay, so active research area, that was from RAG what that we had doing, and parameter efficient fine tuning federated learning approach. So this is again a new concepts are coming up, federated learning approach, and interpretability and explainability. These are quite important active research area, that what is coming up, it shall be explainable. And in structured data also, just like there shall be an explainable here also, uh, uh, the information that we are generating, and that with GenAI we can make it much more explainable. Okay, so that is quite intuitive, and that makes the productivity of somebody's uh, biased or wrong interpretation correct. That is why it is quite important. Okay, such a plot, if somebody draw a plot, that may interpret many things. Okay, just like an abstract art, but to some extent it is much more informative, but than an abstract art. But it may represent many things. It tells many story, many perspective can come to it. Now, along with that, if a LLM based generation of the inference, providing that aspect what user is telling, because not always the user can be there when the plot the user is the business user is seeing the plot. Okay, the analyst may not be sitting in front of uh, that to explain that this is what. Okay, but yeah, that is possible in case of whenever we write a report, when we write different studies, insights. Okay, that time we write that interpretation of that text, what is coming against the plot. So such type of in a dashboard, it is difficult. So in dashboard, if we can do an explainability based on the chart in an automated way. So those are the things that is in the research area that is still going on. We are trying to bring up, but with a overall perspective, how much information we shall pass on to that. Uh, Critical thinking exercise, how to teach student to identify limitation. Uh, so this is quite important. I try to bring this aspect also throughout this lecture, that uh, this is quite interesting, that how you make a student feel think in a critical way, because uh, or else people will start become an user, will not be a developer, or not be even proper, what I will say, something anybody can use it, but by knowing the purpose, by knowing how, why, all those reasoning aspect must be created. People are running towards using it, getting the result and done. But whether it is the right, whether it is this thinking, we have to ensure that the students shall think in that way. Whenever some exercise, we have to make in such a way that a straightforward generation or something shall not be the uh, final goal. Okay, so that's why I put this thing as an separately. I put it because thinking the audience in mind, ah, that we have to try to make our next generation think in little bit different when they are using LLM. This is in context with LLM moreover, and GenAI, because of this many wrong, or the way that we are using. Okay, we have to think it in a different way, make it much more okay. It is for the productivity improvement, but it shall be used in a proper way. Okay. And these are the ethical aspect uh, that we have to keep it in mind when we do this, because that is very much important, or else that may lead to some problem. For example, I am doing drag and my the files that are there in some directory is having sensitive information that shall not be disclosed. But by mistake, some path and those documents got trained, rather than trained, or I will say that they were loaded into the vector DB. So there it comes a huge challenge, correct? So will not be able to understand, or correcting that becomes very difficult. And to understand also that whether the document, if from the beginning is not taken into consideration that sensitive documents need to be filtered, or we have to identify that what are the PIA information, or whether any data is have violating HIPAA or GDPR. So such type of policies need to be drafted by the government whenever we are using such type of thing. In certain geography in our world globally, they are taking strict measures to do it. So do in all the places such type of measures need to be taken, or else it is very difficult. Some accident, because we are seeing, I was going through yesterday itself, yesterday or day before yesterday, uh, a discussion with the customer was happening, and then a discussion was coming up that some of the industry has experienced this information leakage and other things, and they have to be went through a legal consequence because of that. All names are big names, big companies, but yeah, just a data leak from from LLM or Gen AI most probably. So those leak had happened. Okay, that was the anticipation most probably he was telling. Okay, so that security breach or something, somehow or the other way. Okay, that we have to take in mind when we proceed in our journey. And that's why the another aspect is coming up again along with ethical AI. Another aspect is the responsible AI. Okay, so the ethical and the responsible AI shall go side by side. Um, and we have to, whenever we are teaching somebody LLM, Gen AI, machine learning, deep learning, we shall also teach the ethical aspect. What is ethical AI? How we shall control biasness, and how we shall make a responsible AI. Any solution which we are building or something, we need to think twice why we are building. Okay, we shall not do some, not promote any research that may cause harm, or that may treat some people on some in a different way. Uh, so such type of thought process we have to do as part of critical thinking when we do come up with problem statements, solving with this type of highly powerful tools. So future trends and research directions, yes, multimodal is the future trend. That is one. Again, specialized model is again another future trend, and continuous LLMs are evolving. And moreover, what I feel, rather than going into that AGI, that artificial general intelligence, the world will go with the artificial narrow intelligence specific to domain, but yeah, performance wise, it shall be good, because not everybody is bothered to know everything. Okay, it's irrelevant. That is, there is no meaning on losing so much computer to know everything, because everybody is having a persona and they try to live in that persona, and they can switch from one to another, but again they live with a certain persona only. You know, it's So matlab artificial narrow intelligence is the future that I believe, rather than artificial generalized or general intelligent, which will a single things can cover all everything. It's just a lavishness and unnecessary, not a sustainability or development goal. It is not meeting that one. But with AI, definitely we can achieve significant sustainable aspect also, and um, we can do that. Many companies are also building data as a service, and they are with a proper screening of the data, they are making it openly available for others also. That is also a good practice, rather than stealing the data or doing something. Companies are cautiously releasing some data so that that can be used for the societal benefit. Okay, that is a good thing. Federated learning, privacy, and preserving training. This is quite an important. Some of my team member also already, very recently has done some patent on this federated learning on some area. So this is also quite a new thing and a quite a happening thing. People can, you know, learn on this, or we can have again few sessions on this federated learning. This is again a happening new area. Neurosymbolic integrations are combining neural and symbolic AI. Yeah, these are all new space coming up gradually. Earlier, we used to work on text, and then it has come to that. These are quite interesting and similar things. And as part of
Hello,
that
hello,
implementation,
sir.
yeah,
Hello.
yes, yes,
You have you are in mute. Your voice is not coming properly.
yeah. Am I
Yes, yes, yes. Now you are audible.
okay? Okay, fine. Okay, sometime it switches between two different mic basically. Some this mic, and there are camera attached to that mic, so automatically switching happens. So this way, this is like creating some problem, or so
No,
some
now it's okay.
automation.
Okay.
Okay, okay, thank you. So when it comes to the tool, this is very much important, because as I was mentioning, I will show you some of the tools, and these are the tools that whenever you come and try to solve some problem, you need to have those gears to or levers in their hand to solve that problem, or else there is no how you can solve a problem just with the help of API hitting and getting generate a result. That doesn't solve the problem. That is not an engineer. That is not at all an what I say. To solve that problems, you need to have a proper platform, and those platform you need to use resources, infrastructure, security, dependent system. All those things are required. Okay. So we'll go with one of the vector DB, how the platforms are building. Pincone is one that I will show, and even Face I have used it in. It's a lightweight, and you don't have to purchase or anything. You can use it directly. It is very easy to use to get a fundamental understanding that how, and also you can apply on your activity also. So here are some of the books and courses, things that I have I mentioned. Those are quite interesting topics that you can go through, okay, to go deep dive and to understand the fundamental. And always one thing, before learning LLM, I will always say that you shall learn natural language processing. Okay, learn NLP, learn NLU, natural language understanding, uh, and then gradually, you know, go to the LLM and through deep learning and other stuff. Then the fundamental learning will be in a better way. So that's what I will say. So that's my session is ending with this, but now I will be showing. So shall I start with the with the hands-on parts, that what are the different now, or with a break shall we do?
We can give a 5 minutes break.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, participants, there is a 5 minute break. After 5 minutes, sir will resume the session.